Huge show on today's DNVR Broncos podcast. The Broncos signed JK Dobbins. What does that mean for the rest of the running back room and the Broncos offense? Plus, we just got back from Broncos' first practice mandatory minicamp. We're going to break it down, and the huge show starts now. Denver Broncos have signed JK Dobbins, and we're going to break it down on this show. Plus, we're talking about Broncos mandatory minicamp day one. We were out there. Huge day in Broncos Country, and we are live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And we are the DNVR Broncos Podcast. Ryan Koenigsberg, Henry Chisholm, you're here behind the camera, and Zac Stevens rocking and rolling with you today.
So I think it should have been there's no kidding around. Because it's just kidding is what JK was short for.
What did I say?
No joking around.
Oh, you're right. It should have been. Well, to take you a little bit behind the scenes, you here had us on air before we typically are. So I freaked out. Yeah.
Shared blame.
Oh, was that not true? We can roll the screen back. Yeah, but I did think of before the show. Doing we're not kidding around.
Yeah. Do you know what JK stands for in his name? I know Henry does.
No, I don't.
Do you want to guess?
No,
yeah, no.
I don't.
I want your guess. I want your guess.
I don't.
It's not like Justin Carey or Jeremy
Carey.
Cronset.
You're not helping me out here, though. You're just.
It's actually just one name.
Jonathan Cronathan.
Jacalyn.
Jacalyn?
Yep.
I like it.
Which I actually think is a sick name.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I might call him Jacalyn when I get really excited.
Man, but for a running back, like JK Dobbins is off to the races. It fits better.
It's true.
I can see why he did it.
Like Saquon. Could be SQ. That's not nearly as good.
SQ Barkley actually sounds sick.
No, because
it sounds like a writer.
It does sound like an author.
No, Saquon's 2 syllables, where SQ is 2 syllables.
Jacalyn.
It didn't help you at
don't
all.
like that?
It is JK is 2,
Jacalyn.
and
See?
Jacalyn is 3.
Apologize to me. That was a bad.
Wow, I didn't know that it was about the syllables.
I'm pumped for this news, guys. I think this is a huge signing for the Broncos. And just to give you a little insight on how it went down, the Broncos finished negotiations during practice today. So Sean clearly told George before practice today, let's get this deal done. George was on the phone. George was in and out of practice, out on the practice field in the building. He gets the deal done. And I kid you not, the second that Sean Payton steps on the podium to talk to the media right after, news starts breaking. Texts start going around, and JK officially becomes a Bronco. So, because we're going to break down minicamp today, he was not at mandatory minicamp today because he hadn't been signed until 2 seconds after practice ended. I am told that it's expected that he'll be there tomorrow, but things can always change with this. But we might get our first look at JK Dobbins in orange and blue tomorrow, which is pretty quick turnaround and awesome to see. And of course, this whole thing started last Wednesday when JK, what'd you say?
Jacalyn.
Jacalyn flew out to Denver, had dinner with the Broncos Wednesday night, was in the building Thursday, left without a contract. Then he lands with the Broncos, 4 days later.
It's awesome. You mentioned a quick turnaround, and quick turnarounds are kind of JK Dobbins' thing. He is an exciting player in space, and he has quite the bag of moves. So I'm excited about this. I mean, it was kind of like you and I were really excited about it. Henry was in the middle. Baldy was not as excited about it, and but this to me talks about where the Broncos are and believe they are in their trajectory. And the conversation we had with Baldy was kind of like, well, he shouldn't be stealing reps from young guys. And I think in a lot of cases that is true. But not when you think that you're in a window. And as we know, and you've told us, Zach, Sean Payton believes the Broncos are in their window. And so, yes, development is always important. But, In this case, I think roster talent or production or, existing veteran presences are just as, if not more important in this situation. So to me, like when I was talking about protecting Bo out of the backfield, that comes into this. And just overall production you can count on. Obviously there's the injuries, which throw a whole other wrench into this, but you know what you have in JK Dobbins when he's healthy. And to me, adding him into this running back room alongside a lot of question marks makes me feel really good about what they have in the room, and also makes me feel better about who's going to help these question marks become check marks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to me, it just falls in the category of Sean Payton knows better than I do, and if Sean says the Broncos want him, there you go. Like, if his opinion is way more educated than mine and way more than anything else, like I talked about yesterday, like I have concerns, just that, again, those first 2 weeks last year, he was incredible. He was the most productive running back in the NFL. There's like only one player in the league with more scrimmage yards. The scary part, though, is that his 3 long runs were all in those first 2 games. And after that, the explosiveness wasn't there. It was 3.8 yards per carry the rest of the way. He was less efficient than any running back the Broncos had on their roster from that point on. And the Broncos did not have efficient running backs. And he was playing behind a pretty good offensive line there, too. But again, if you think that you can get the guy we saw in week 1 and week 2 last year when he was lighting up the Raiders and was lighting up the Panthers, this is a great signing. Like, then he's a Pro Bowl type back. He's the kind of guy you just give the ball to 30 times in the playoffs, go get you 150 yards, and you can cruise right through. It's just when you combine those injuries with the fact that from week 3 on last year, he was just not explosive, not productive. That's where I have my concerns. But if Sean says we want him, then they must think for some reason they can make him the guy he was in those first 2 weeks. And if they do that, they've got potentially the best running back in the division. So you might as well.
And Henry, you have fair points, but here's another factor in this. JK Dobbins isn't your you have to have him every single rep, every single game throughout the whole season type of running back where you live and die on your running game by him. JK Dobbins is the Broncos' number 2 running back. That's very clear to me, and we'll see once he's on the field, and I'll admit if I'm wrong, but what we've seen out there, and we can't get into too much detail, but we are allowed to watch practices so we can give big observations. What we've seen in the 3 practices that we've watched this offseason so far is it is RJ Harvey up here and then a massive, massive, massive gap. And RJ Harvey's a rookie. Like, you typically don't see a gap between a rookie and everyone else that quick. And I don't think this is to take RJ Harvey's spot at all. I think this is to get a really good number 2 running back. And if that number 2 running back, 2 games this coming year, can run for 133 yards per game like he did in the first 2, oh my goodness. If he can have those 3 big plays that he had, oh my goodness. And then if he does fall off and he does get injured, then, well, he's your number 2. Then you have someone else bounce up to be your number 2. So I really think that this is for the number 2 running back spot. And I think what JK Dobbins is, healthy, injured, just who he is a really good number 2. And guys, I think he kind of completes this offense. And that's what this signing is, because Sean Payton and George Payton have showed us with their actions, and I've heard behind the scenes quite a lot, they really, really, really like their wide receiver room. Tight end, how can you not like it with Evan Ingram now? Running back, this was kind of the piece. Okay, can you get someone else to fit with that rookie running back? You just got him with JK Dobbins. Plus you got Bo Nix. Plus you got a great offensive line. This offense is now complete, and I think that's how the Broncos view this is, man, we got it. We got it, no excuses now.
Yeah, and I think that there's even higher, like there's kind of a nice range of what J.K. Dobbins can be for the Broncos. Depending on what the Broncos want to use for him as and what RJ Harvey becomes. Because there's no guarantee that RJ Harvey is going to just come out gangbusters and, run all over the league. We've actually seen J.K. Dobbins do that. If you need a J.K. Dobbins to be your starter, he's very capable and qualified to do that. You don't want that. Then you are kind of rep stealing this, that, and the other. Then there's the other part, which is just like, okay, he is a true number 2. and it's a pretty even rep split, maybe 60-40. Again, very qualified for that position. And then I think there's the ideal situation, which is he is merely there to spell RJ Harvey, and it's closer to like a 70-30 or even 80-20 rep split between those two. That one's the ideal one for me. The other two I think you would do out of necessity. This one is like, if all falls into place, this is great. And instead of JK Dobbins, burning out and being asked to do so much, you play him over the course of 4 or 5 weeks, the way that he was used in 2 weeks in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and you get a lot more out of him across the season. I don't think this, in an ideal world, this steals really any reps from what you were envisioning for RJ Harvey.
No.
I do think it steals a lot of reps for what you could have been envisioning for Audric Estime, which is why I stepped down from my post yesterday.
So even though yesterday you couldn't be held accountable for anything you said, you are still holding accountability for that one.
Yes, that was actually prophetic.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
I want double accountability.
Wow. So Ryan, to piggyback off of what you were saying, an hour into watching the 2-hour practice today, I turned to the person next to me who I was watching practice with, and I said, if there's ever a year that Sean Payton is going to abandon his 2-back system, which he's done for 2 decades in the NFL, and just go with a 1 power horse back, it's going to be this year. Because again, just what I've seen, that gap between RJ Harvey and everyone else has just been so blatantly obvious out of practice. Now, Sean doesn't have to worry about that. Now he just gets to his 2-back system, which he loves. Remember, there's no 3-back system with Sean. There's no 1-back system with Sean. It's always been a 2-back system, going back to last year, going back to the year before, going back to his 15 years with the Saints. And JK Dobbins is just the perfect plug-in for that. So as much as I think they like what JK Dobbins brings, I think Sean just loves it because now it's like, okay, we got our easy 1-2 backs right there.
And let me just say, it's not a full abandonment of the Audric Estime Believers Club. I'm still a member. I just stepped down from my position as the president because I think it's going to be a trying year for the club. But I wouldn't leave them in these scenarios because you want to know why?
Yeah, tell me.
Because Audric Estime is still 2 years younger than anyone else in the running back room.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And so I'm not giving up on him. I think that there's development that has to happen. There's maturity that has to happen. All of that. But when you draft Audric Estime when he's 20 years old, you understand that. You understand, or at least you have a thought in the back of your mind that, okay, it might not be immediate for him. He's a kid coming into a grown man's league, and he's still got a long way to go before he's a grown man. So I just want to say, like, it might not be this year for Audric, but I think that he still can make a career in the NFL.
Yeah.
I really like Audric as a person. So Ryan, I hope you are right. But there's going to be a lot of competition for that 3rd and potentially even 4th running back spot. And actually today, a reporter asked Sean throughout, like, so now you have JK, now you have Audric, now you have Jaleel, and Sean cut him off, said, stop counting the running backs right now. You can't do this right now. He said, because you're going to be wrong. He said, well, I guess you can do it if you want to be wrong. But
Wrong about what? How many running backs are on the roster
Just
right
about
now?
like OTAs mattering.
Okay.
Was the big thing.
And about trying to identify who's making the roster and if there's going to be 3 or 4 guys right now. But my point overall is there's going to be a lot of competition for that 3rd and 4th spot. No one is guaranteed that job right now. Tyler Bidet, Sean called him out last week, went out of his way to call him out for his pass blocking ability. If he has that and Audric doesn't have that, that could get him a roster spot over it. Jaleel also, I think, isn't guaranteed a spot, but he's the 2nd best running back, in my opinion, through camp so far. Now you bring JK and maybe drops into 3rd. But I think that Audric Estime is not guaranteed a spot on this team, unfortunately.
No, certainly not. Again, I mean, I'm just curious to see what Dobbins looks like. Because the reason RJ stands out, and honestly Jaleel too, is just because with no pads, no tackling, it's the guys with the speed who really stand out in these practices. And that's the big question with JK. Is again, like, can you keep him fresh by, like, last year he had 55 more carries than any Broncos running back. And so by toning those down, can you prolong it? Again, it'd be a little bit easier for me to trust if he had slowed down in November or even like October instead of like week 3. But again, like, could he have broken off a couple of big games later on? I just want to see what he looks like because if he does still have that explosiveness, he's a good running back. But if you don't have that, then we'll see.
How many carries did he have in those first 2 weeks with the Chargers?
10 in week 1, 17 in week 2.
Okay.
Yeah, he averaged 10 yards per carry in the first 2 weeks.
He was incredible.
Went for 266 yards.
Yeah, when I knew the yardage.
Yeah.
And I just assumed those were 20 carry games.
No. Yeah, just explosions. And that's why I think he really completes this offense is because of the big playability. And RJ brings that. RJ brings a big playability to this Broncos offense. But JK does as well. And then if Marvin takes that step from year 2 to year 3 and Troy takes that step from year 1 to year 2, you just went from like one of the least explosive offenses in the NFL to a very explosive offense in the NFL. And I'm not even mentioning Courtland Sutton, who had a big play today, which we will talk about. But first, we got contract details on JK Dobbins. I want to tell you guys what we know about the contract, and you tell me what you think it means for his role with the Broncos. And before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Mando, where today, thank goodness I had Mando. We were out there for 3 hours in the 90-degree sun at 1 p.m., sun beating down on me. And thanks to Mando, I didn't have to worry about if I smelled because they cover pits, parts, grundles, ball sacks, feet, anywhere that you could possibly like have a sweat or a smell. Mando's got you covered, and they cover every part of your body with so many options like bourbon leather, clover wood, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. So if you're going out to training camp this year, because they're going to have a limited number of fans, you're going to go to the pool, you're going to be outside this summer, you want to make sure you're protected with Mando. And Mando is going to hook you up with their starter pack, which comes with so many great products to get you started in Mando. Plus, if you use the code DNVR, they are going to give you $5 off. You put that starter pack together with that $5 off, and you're going to get over 40% off by going to shopmando.com and use that code DNVR when you sign up. And please support our show by using that code DNVR over at shopmando.com. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
And shout out to our friends over at First Bank. Whether you're on the road, at home, or somewhere in between, First Bank makes banking easy, convenient, and secure. Their mobile banking app allows you to check balances, pay friends, and manage your money anytime, anywhere. And the best part is this. If you open a new First Bank checking account today, you could earn $300. First Bank is all about helping you stay on track. Their tools make it simple to stay in control of your finances without the hassle. No matter where life takes you, First Bank gives you the freedom to bank how and when it works best for you. So if you're ready for better banking and the chance to earn a little extra, head to efirstbank.com/bonus. That's efirstbank.com/bonus to open your account. Bank how you want, when you want, with First Bank. Certain restrictions, requirements apply. Member FDIC.
Okay, so did some digging, got some contract info. It's a 1-year deal for JK Dobbins, which that's exactly what we were expecting to happen. But the price, guys, is fascinating. So he signs for roughly $2.6 million guaranteed. Then there's an extra $680,000 in per game active roster bonuses. So if he's active, aka healthy, he gets another $680,000. That's divided by 17 per game. He gets that on top of it, and then there's
up to $680,000. Up to
$680,000. If he plays every game, he's gonna get that money. And then there's another $2.5 million in incentives, which are based off rushing yards and yards from scrimmage. So this could be a contract that's 1 year worth up to $5.25 million, or a base of about $2.2 million in guaranteed money.
It's pretty cool. It's really friendly for both sides, I think. And for the Broncos, it's a pretty low risk. It's not quite as low as the risk we were talking about yesterday when we were comparing it to what the Chargers might owe him. But still a low risk move for the Broncos. And I think it's a very high reward move for the Broncos. Same thing for JK. He gets more money than he was going to get playing for a team that didn't really want him.
Yeah.
And he has the opportunity to obviously make a lot more, almost 5 times what he was going to make there. Now, for the Broncos, I think that this is, and who knows what JK's day-to-day has been. He could be, as good as Tom Brady at taking care of his body, and he just has bad luck. But obviously for the Broncos, they're going to want to use Bo Lowry and all of the tricks and things that they have to try and keep guys healthy. And now, obviously, JK Dobbins is incentivized to kind of buy into the program and say, okay, well, I can, make up to $680,000 just by being healthy and being active on the roster. So, I'm in. And, if he, for whatever reason, is the guy that was playing in the first 2 weeks of the season for the Chargers all season, well, he's going to make $5.6 million.
Totally.
And there would be nothing better than the Broncos having to write him a max check at the end of the season of $5.25 million. And I love this comment from Jose in the Toyota chat. He says if Dobbins makes $5.25 million, the Broncos win 14 games. I don't know. I wasn't able to find out what the exact
parameters are.
Yeah, parameters are. But if he hits all of that, this would be absolutely fantastic. And I like it for both sides. Just like you said, Ryan, $2.2 million for your second string running back. Fine. All for that. And then 5.25, if you have to pay that, it means he had a fantastic year. So I like this contract from both sides. And shout out to JK's agent, because I did not think he was going to get much more than the $1.1 million that he was guaranteed from the Chargers. So that's why he left the building, is because he wasn't satisfied with the Broncos contract offer, just like Evan Engram left the building. When he got the contract he wanted from Evan Engram, he signed. When JK got the contract that he wanted, he signed.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, you just, again, if he hits all that stuff, it's great. $2.5 million, not going to be the end of the world. You're not super tied to him. Again, every penny counts in the NFL when it comes time. You're going to need to find $8 million if you want to keep JFM next year. 2.5, that's like a quarter of it. So as long as you're getting something from him, it's good. And that's why I just can't wait for tomorrow. You just want to see if he looks fast. Because if he has that speed, if he is still explosive, that's a really good football player. Just curious that he was still on the market at this point.
I'm not worried about his speed. I don't think the Broncos sign him if he's slow, because you're right, Henry. He relies on that speed so much.
If he worked out on the field for him?
I don't know. I just know that he visited and was in the building. But I don't think they sign him, especially giving him $2 million guaranteed. If he's not fast, I think you're going to be impressed with what he brings. And it's going to be interesting to see what number he wears tomorrow, because, of course, he wore number 27 with the Chargers last season. A lot of people are saying, Damari's going to be cut. Damari made a nice play today in practice, so it'll be interesting to see what number he's wearing with the Broncos tomorrow. And I really hope to see him tomorrow. One more thing on this. So I mentioned how the news broke right as Sean Payton started speaking to the media. Sean didn't want to comment on this. So he said, I'll tell you about what I think about it tomorrow. So tomorrow on this show, we'll break down what Sean Payton had to say about JK. And maybe he says he's a number 2. Maybe he says he's a starter. Maybe he gives us an exact split of how it's going to go. We'll see what Sean gives us. Last week when he talked about JK Dobbins, he said he's a good player, and he's a guy that we still like our room right now, but you look at adding good players when you can. And then Sean was asked about JK Dobbins and how you factor in injured guys when signing him today. And he said you factor it in just like you do every other player. So Sean didn't want to give us anything about JK today.
You want to take a guess on what his number's going to be?
Do you know?
He was 2 in college, so he can't be that either.
Absolutely not. Wait, do you know?
No.
Okay, guessing going in.
44 tomorrow.
Oof.
I think if you're going to do that, you don't cut Damari Mathis, but you say, Damari, you're number 44 now.
Cannot do that to NFL veterans.
Well, if it's for another NFL vet.
No, still can't do it.
No.
Any numbers available in the 20s?
I was going to say, what is...
24, I believe. I think 44 and 24 are the only options.
24 is not really an option.
That's the thing. Which is why
they gave this to Pac-Man Jones in a very similar situation.
I think that was unique, though.
This wasn't exactly they. It was a decision made that no one agreed with.
And I agree. You don't give him 24.
Yeah, so 24 is not available. Anything in the teens?
Nope. I mean 18.
Yeah, 44 is retired.
Oh, 44 is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess it has to be what I say 30 no, 20 I guess 24 is half retired.
The thing is they could double up on 27. And the reason for that is this week they have I think 7 tryout players. and they're doubling up on numbers because they've got 90 guys with the retired numbers. So there's 2 16s out there. There's 2 45s out there. Might just have 2 27s out there, especially because one's on defense, one's on offense.
Yeah, because they just don't have anything open. Either that or you give him like 9. No, everything in the 90s is even taken. Like there's nothing you can do.
27.
All right. He's probably going to be 27 then if he has to double it.
Yeah.
18 is also retired.
Yeah, exactly.
And not really
Double
because of
retired.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I guess kind of because of Peyton. Yeah.
67.
Damari, you're wearing number 67.
If anything, they would just do 2 27s.
Why
No,
not? Why not two
no,
number?
no.
Why not 2 number 2s?
No.
Temporary anyway. Okay.
No. I mean, if they were, yeah, no. Okay, so to put a bow on this, as the comments are saying, it's going to be JK and RJ, RJ and JK. That's the Broncos' backfield. Is the what's that called? The
Initials?
Yeah, the initial backfield.
All right.
Yeah, so it's going to be something like that. That's what I
If you combine RJ and JK and just, cut out the middle, you get RK.
Someone in the Twitter chat earlier said, "Wow, we've got RK talking about RJ and JK."
Wow.
Yeah, you
Might as well
fit
get
right
BK
in.
in here too.
Yeah, that's very true. You want to be part of you want to be the third running back? RJ, JK, and RK.
That would be kind of sick. That'd be kind of sick.
What role are you good at as a running back?
Vibes on the sidelines.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. And then you don't have to get hit if you're on the sidelines.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not playing me, so.
Yeah,
It's true.
But I feel like I could be better vibes on the sidelines than whoever else the third running back is going to be.
I don't know. Jaleel always has good vibes. He's always smiling and
Are
stuff.
you gonna get in there at 4:45 in the morning to beat Jaleel at 5?
No. I'm just showing up to, when everyone's there, crack a couple jokes.
Sean loves that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quick, Eric in the Twitter chat says RJ hasn't signed yet. That is correct. RJ hasn't signed, and Jahdae Barron hasn't signed. And those two guys are both practicing. There's never been an issue with them practicing or not. And you think, well, of course they should be practicing. Have you guys seen the situation going on in Cincinnati right now?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, what a nightmare. So just shout out to RJ and Jahdae for practicing despite not having their contract signed, because that's just a nightmare going on with Shamar Stewart, the first round pick, not practicing a single time this offseason.
But he's also calling out the front office publicly.
Yeah. So the thing, I
It's
guess,
bad.
How can a relationship get off to that bad of a start?
so typically, first rounders generally get their contracts mostly guaranteed. Second rounders typically haven't. So right now, only 2 of the 32 second rounders have signed their contracts because second round, the trend is now to push for more guarantees. But the Bengals are not. They're trying to give less guarantees to their first round pick, even though they gave the more guarantees the first round pick last year, and it's kind of like a new contract structure for them. And that guy's saying well, you can't be doing this. This is unfair. This is how everybody else does it. So who knows what's going to happen?
It's actually not on Shamar. It's on the Bengals for doing something that goes completely against the norm. And it's just makes me and should make Broncos country even more grateful that they've got the Walton Penner ownership group, that they've got George Payton, that they've got Sean Payton, where they're going to be very fair and no BS. And they're not going to mess around and try to cheat players out and make players buy their own lunches at the facility and stuff like that. And that's a reason why you're able to get guys like Evan Ingram, vets that want to come play for this organization, and JK Dobbins right now.
Yeah. It feels to me almost like Shamar Stewart didn't want to go to Cincinnati under any circumstances. And now he's just trying to murky the waters as much as he can.
But I do think it's the Bengals giving him a different contract than most rookies get.
But I thought Hank was just saying that they're trying to give him the contract that most rookies do get.
No, it's less guaranteed money.
Yeah,
than
it's super complicated because it's technically if Stewart defaults, which I think would only matter if he doesn't show up to something. So it would essentially say if you hold out, it cancels the rest of your contract. which I don't think is generally in other contracts. It's certainly not in other Bengals contracts, which I think is why he's saying, why do I have to be the first one? Or maybe they gave out one to a free agent recently. It's a very tiny little thing, though.
It's just terrible. Like, both sides are losing.
Well, and the thing is, like, the Broncos haven't gotten their deal done with Jade for whatever reason, which would make you think there's probably something in there. But the way the Broncos do business is nobody says anything. And if you, the player, go out there and say anything, like, that's going to be a bad look on you, which is why we never hear anything about their negotiations. And on top of that, Jade's at practice, whereas Shamar Stewart isn't. So we just have no idea what's going on on the Broncos side, because they're an actual real organization, whereas the Bengals, they just have these things blow up in their face over and over. Like, this isn't even the bigger story. Like, the bigger story for them is Trey Hendrickson, where it's not the exact same thing, but a similar thing, where it's just a terrible look because they handle things in such a publicly strange way.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Let's talk about the Broncos mandatory minicamp practice that happened today. And before we do that, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Empire Today, where if you want the best, you go to Empire Today. The best floors, where all they do is floors. We're not talking about windows. We're not talking about the big box stores where they do everything. So do they actually do everything? No, we're talking about a floor store that does floors right. They've got experts that are dedicated to just flooring every single day. And they've got so many cool tools. Like, you can see what the certain floors would look like in your house with their virtual house floor tour that you can do. The big box stores don't have the things that Empire has. They have experts that only know about floors and know them like the back of their hand. And we can attest to it here right now, because we are sitting on Empire floors that we've been on for years, look perfect. And the floors we had before then weren't put in by Empire, and there was so much wear and tear on them. It was literally unsafe place to be. And these floors at Empire stay strong, even in a tough environment like this office. So, we know they're the best, and you can get them in your house as well. Go to empiretoday.com and make sure to tell them the DNVR sent you by using the code DNVR, and listeners will get $350 discount when using that promo code. That's right, a $350 discount with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/DNVR for full details.
So I love wearing sunglasses in the summer. They look cool. They protect your eyes. It's great. I hate reading greens with sunglasses on. I just don't trust it. I want to, when I'm reading a putt, I want to be able to just see it clearly. So what happens is I'll take my sunglasses off, leave them in the golf cart. I don't know, about a dozen times in my life, I've forgotten to get them back out of the golf cart, and then you lose your favorite pair of sunglasses and you're really sad. Unless they're Shady Rays. Because then you don't have to be sad, because if you lose or break your pair of Shady Rays, they're always going to send you a new pair. No guilt. Just, here you go. We want you to have your favorite pair of Shady Rays back, so here they are, straight to your door. It's an amazing feature, and one of the reasons why I am a loyal Shady Rays customer. So, if you're looking to have a sweet pair of shades this year, and if you also have a bad habit of leaving them when you take them off, there's no better place to go than Shady Rays. So, and you can also get 35% off polarized sunglasses at Shady Rays when you use the code DNVR. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. It's Shady Rays and that code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses.
And one more shout out to our guy, Benny Fowler. It's his birthday today.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Benny. We hope you're having an awesome day today and can't wait to have you back on the show. But sending birthday vibes and wishes to our guy, Benny. Let's go out to practice today, where Henry and I were out there at Broncos' first mandatory minicamp. And Henry, I think we said this yesterday, the first takeaway from mandatory minicamp, at least in my opinion, is who's there. Because it's the first practice. It's the first thing in the offseason, the only thing in the offseason that's mandatory. Every coach in the world will blow off absences at OTAs, at any other part of the offseason, except for this one. I was wrong. Yesterday, I said you're fined $101,000 if you miss all 3 days of mandatory minicamp. This year, it's bumped up to $104,000.
Wow.
So it's important to be there. And really, there were only 2 notable absences, and they don't seem like they were, intentional. It seemed like something popped up the way Sean talked about him after. Devon Vele was not there, and Blake Watson was not there. But the big one to me, Henry, was John Franklin Myers, number 98, did show up.
Yes, he did. He was right there. Also, PJ Locke's still on the side field, which I might have missed what the injury is there.
I don't think we've heard.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But that's still going on.
There he is. There's a big guy, number 98, going through drills.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Yeah, didn't do any of the team stuff, or at least I didn't catch him out there, which makes sense because he hasn't been out there the past few weeks.
That means he's back as a candidate for Mr. Bronco.
I don't know. And then A.T. Perry also. So we thought he was back.
Wide receiver 1?
Not yet.
Don't
Future.
even joke about that, Ryan.
But rumors are it was a different number 87. And I couldn't get a good look at his helmet, but the helmet did look like it was saying not Perry. It was like a longer word, but I was like, could it be A.T. Perry? They wouldn't do that. So I don't know. There might be something up with A.T. Perry.
Okay.
Because that would be what? Multiple practices?
Yeah,
multiple
we
weeks he's missed?
still haven't seen him this spring, and there was who I believe to be a different man wearing his number. Like I was able to see his face through the binoculars, and I was like, that doesn't look like AT.
A lot of people don't realize that AT is short for absentee.
Wow. Yeah,
He should have been number 80.
See what A.T. Perry's name means? What if it is absentee?
That would be crazy.
Yeah, so what do we have you here?
This is going to be fun.
It's a Torian Perry.
Did he just say
so-
absentee?
He
he
said a
didn't-
Torian, so his is just like JK.
Oh, it's just one
Which is
name.
a name
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
shortened down to 2 letters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. And then, of course, we have...
That could be RN Koenigsberg.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have JL Skinner, and the JL just doesn't stand for anything.
Yep.
It's just JL.
Aquarius Lynx.
Too good. Just 2 good letters.
That is still an all-time joke though. When somebody asked it,
is.
because that was like the media call, right?
It
Right
was
after he got
he was drafted.
He got asked, what does JL stand for? Said Aquarius Lynx. Just kidding. It's just JL.
No, and then someone was like, really? And he's like, nope, just kidding.
I would never say really to anyone if they told me what their name is.
Exactly. Really.
Speaking of jokes that happened today at mandatory minicamp, Garrett Bolles talked, and man, I'll just tell you, Garrett Bolles has matured into a leader of this team. You can just tell he is so comfortable here and calm, and it's different than when he was younger, and he's grown a lot with the Broncos, and an extremely mature leader of the team now. And he, out of the blue, said, I'm a Chevy. I don't break down like Fords do all the time. And then so he gets off the podium. And so everyone laughs initially. And then he gets off the podium. And one of the PR members, Eric Schubert, says, the next time you guys will be talking to Garrett Bolles will be training camp powered by Ford.
Yes.
It's like the second biggest partner.
I was going to say, as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's
Yeah.
a big partner.
Yeah. I don't even care. I drive my Chevy. My Chevy's great. It's the best. Chevys are. It's like, I loved it.
If I was Garrett, I'd be like, Ford doesn't pay me.
It's
Yeah,
very
exactly.
true.
Yep.
Also, Toyotas are way better. You could have used just a Toyota in that.
Big
Also
facts.
true.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's a very
Gotta
good
get Garrett
point.
and Toyota.
Yeah, so that was a good little moment.
And then
But
they're always putting like that Ford Bronco and things too.
Yep, yep.
Like in situations where it's
Oh,
like you're just
the
making a
product
video. You don't
placement.
you don't need to have a Ford in every single one of your videos, but they do it. I hope they put Garrett in one of those and he says like, "Oh yeah, great Ford."
I don't think you can associate Garrett with Ford anymore.
Probably
I
don't.
just
They have that thing
I don't
where they
care
drive
about
around
either
the
of these two
parking lot in
brands.
the
I only
Ford.
want to think about Toyota.
So let's think
True.
about the Broncos at practice today. And out at practice, Henry, what was outside of attendance? What was your biggest takeaway?
Oh, Nik Bonitto's so good. Nik Bonitto is just. There might not be a football player alive better than Nik Bonitto. I know we've had days like this before where it's like, remember his rookie year when the Cowboys were here,
Yep.
and it was just sack.
What do you have, 4?
I think it was
6?
4 that day.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, this guy's electric, and it didn't really translate to the season. But no, he had another one of those days today where it's like, oh, nobody can block him. And even there were a couple more where like he didn't get the sack there, but then you're like, could he have like turned, like you ran by, it was good by a tackle. Could he have turned that corner too? But that was my big takeaway is that I see Nik Bonitto as somebody who you just give him his money and move along.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, there's a lot of guys that the Broncos are going to have those contract discussions with, and we'll break them down probably starting next week when the Broncos are no longer practicing. And Nik Bonitto's one where you do just pay him and move on. You pay him before training camp starts. So I'll stick with that position because there's a rookie that's really standing out from that position. Q Robinson, number 51, our former co-host Todd Davis's number. He's wearing it well out there on the field. He looks so good. I said it after rookie minicamp. I think I said after the first OTA practice, and I noticed it again today. He would have had a couple of sacks, and it's just so exciting because the Broncos already have a great outside linebacker room led by Nik Bonitto. You have Jonathan Cooper. Garrett Bolles said after practice he pulls those two guys aside often and tells them that they can be the best in the league as an outside linebacker duo. And then you have Jonah Ellis too, who had a really nice play today in coverage. Actually broke up what would have been a touchdown. And then you add a guy like Q Robinson, ultra talented, didn't play much at Alabama, and the talent is really showing. And Sean talks about it all the time. You can never have enough corners. You can never have enough pass rushers. And man, are the Broncos loading up on both of those positions? And looks like they're hitting on both of them too.
Yeah.
That's so big to hear.
Yeah. Again, like Q is playing great football, but you do see like a little lack of reps occasionally. Like they'll throw like a little crack block at him, and he'll just get like pinned in that because he's so excited to go inside. And next thing you know, like, oh, sealed off, and there's a toss going the other way. But there's like a couple of those where you're just like, oh, there's still that mental piece there, but the physical aspect is just like when you just say like you're right here, try to get right there. He's really good at that, and that's the tough part of the job.
And if it was all just about that, then he would have been a first-round pick, and he wouldn't be a Bronco right now.
Totally.
It was like they got to coach him up and take him to the next level.
But the fact that like those are the things that he has to learn 3 practices in or 8 practices in to his rookie career for being a 4th-round pick, when you're seeing the get off is incredible. I mean, he's being not touched by some of the tackles at times because his get off is so good and his turn around the corner is so good. But then he's also a big guy too. Like he is bigger than Nik Bonitto right now and still has a really good get off. And so it's just exciting, man. And that's how you take a draft from being a really good draft to an elite draft, is when you hit on a 4th-round pick, you hit on a 5th-round pick, you hit on multiple of those guys, just like Sean Payton likes to tell us.
At positions of value.
At positions of value, exactly. Sean Payton likes to tell us about that, 2018, 2017 draft class that he had with New Orleans all the time. Is because they had 3 third-rounders that went and got paid a massive second contract, plus a second-rounder, plus a first-rounder. That's what takes your draft over the top. You should absolutely hit on Jahdae Barron. And then if you're drafting a running back in the second round, Baldy told us yesterday that that's a sweet spot for a running back. So you should hit on a running back if you draft in the second round. Does your 3rd-rounder pan out like Pat Bryant? Does your 4th-rounder pan out like Q Robinson? Obviously a punter in the 6th round. Do those guys pan out? That's what takes it over the top.
Yeah.
Would you guys refer to Nik Bonitto as a star pass rusher in the NFL?
Absolutely.
No, he is, yeah.
I think he's right there, if not there. I think that maybe the average fan doesn't quite know who he is yet, but they will soon. If you're somehow able to get a second one without having to spend high draft capital or, insane trade value to get it, this Broncos defense is going to be unbelievably scary.
Totally. Again, like Q Robinson, very reminiscent of a young Nik Bonitto. Like, it's the same. You see the pure talent and like the practices where you're just like, oh my goodness. We talked about the one against the Cowboys where they just literally couldn't block him. It's just turning him into like a responsible, functional defender who you can put out there on the edge of a defense, say like, you're good. Because again, in the past 5 years, he played less snaps than Pat Surtain did last year from week 14 on. Like, it's just, you just need to get those reps going because the talent is so obvious. It's just ironing him out to the person who you could put out there and say like, oh, you're not going to miss your assignment.
And people forget that like Nik Bonitto was almost written off after his rookie season.
Totally.
After his first 2 years.
Second year too, yeah.
I was going to say, but after that first year, it was just like, okay, like there's a miss. They traded away that 1st-round pick and then they missed with their 2nd-round pick. So there's still time there, but early signs being that good is really exciting.
Yeah, and for him, it was like the lack of reps in like that position. It's like, again, he's playing that hybrid spot, that like star where he's doing a bunch of different things. He was on the field at Oklahoma just doing a different job. You move him inside a little bit. and it just looks different.
And I want to give shout outs to a couple more rookies after I give a shout out to our friends over at True Fan Travel, where this is a shout out to True Fan Travel and us because we are going to London for the Broncos Jets game with True Fan Travel. And the awesome thing about True Fan Travel, once you sign up for a trip with them, they pretty much got everything covered. And especially when you're going to a different country, that's such a nice thing to have. And they've got the nicest things picked out for you. They've got a 5-night stay at a luxury hotel in London, private tours, pub meetups, exclusive pep rally, tickets to the game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and so much more. Plus, we're going to be hanging out with everyone that comes. We're going to be doing all these events with you. The sightseeing tour was such a blast everything was a blast. And if you want to join us on this trip to hang out with us, to see London in the best possible way, and to go to the Broncos game, you can do it over at truefantravel.com. Plus, you can go to thednvr.com to get the link as well, thednvr.com/events. Travel across the pond with true diehards and experience London the DNVR way over at truefantravel.com.
I remember last time I almost missed the sightseeing tour.
Late night the night before?
Yep. Just full sprint. I like saw the bus finally. We were like kind of far away. We were like already 5 minutes late. We made it though.
There's almost nothing better than a bus tour. Like I love you sit there and guys telling you stuff.
A double-decker
The guy last time, remember, he was like a comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
He was nailing it.
Good tour guides are incredible.
Yeah. Underrated skill.
Yeah. That would be a nice. When I'm like 70, I think 70 to the end of my life, that's what I'd like to do. Just be a tour guide.
Could see you being good at that.
Yeah. I can do it. In Montana?
I don't know. That's the tough part.
They don't really have bus tours through Columbia.
Yeah,
Well,
probably
but
not.
you do have the ones up through Glacier Park, which are really cool.
okay. They
have
do
like
do
the red open top buses. They're, yeah. But is that, because you only get to pick one. Like you have to be such an expert on the one thing.
I think that's a good
Or a
place for you to
museum.
start.
Or I don't know.
Want to give a shout out to the Twitter chat, everyone who's tuned in. Hit us with a thumbs up. And Edward Wright, shout out to you. He says, great show, guys. You deserve a lot of thumbs up. If you want to help us out and Edward Wright out, hit us with some thumbs up. We appreciate it. And I want to give a thumbs up to the Broncos rookie class pretty much across the board. We already talked about RJ Harvey, but I'll say it one more time. He is just leaps and bounds better than the rest of the Broncos running backs right now. His ability to read the holes in this drill, let's just say some running backs had to do that drill multiple times because they weren't reading the holes right. RJ Harvey didn't. He's still catching the ball out of the backfield incredibly well. Our friend Mace said this out at practice today. You don't even have to know what number he is. You just see him run the ball and you can tell it's him. And he just has that different gear. He is the guy. So shout out to him. Jade Barron making some plays out there. Pat Bryant made a catch in the back of the end zone in a crucial red zone end of the practice period. So that was really good to see. I already gave a shout out to Q Robinson.
I didn't think he held on to that.
I think he did. I think
Did he?
I think he got I think they ripped it out after
Oh,
he was
okay.
out.
It's tough with all the DBs. They're saying like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bo.
So you see yeah.
Okay, wait, really quick.
Shout out to the rookies.
Shout out to the rookies. I find this to be a very notable moment in time.
Oh.
We are 48 minutes into the show.
Mm-hmm.
You guys watched practice.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned Bo Nix once.
How about that?
And some would say that could be a planning problem. I would say it says a lot about the confidence that Broncos Country at large and the three of us here have in Bo Nix. It's no longer, it doesn't have to be the story anymore. How did Bo look? It's now almost taken for granted. Bo probably looks really good.
Yep.
And that to me is meaningful. And it's not do or die. We're living and dying on each practice to know if the quarterback situation is okay. I think it's a great sign that it didn't have to be the lead story.
I'm so happy that you brought that up because I was having this conversation with someone in the building yesterday about how this offseason, the storylines out at OTAs, out at mandatory minicamp, outside of the Broncos signing JK Dobbins today, it's boring because there is no new head coach and you have to see what Nathaniel Hackett's doing for fun on the field. There's no, how's Russell Wilson look today? There's no rookie Bo that you're watching this year and that everything is focused on. There's no real sexy new receiver. It's all pretty much the same team. You just added a couple of pieces. And boring is the sign of good teams when it comes to the offseason. You make a couple of good additions, and then really everything else is status quo. And when things really ramp up and get like so exciting is when everyone can see them on the field come preseason, come the regular season. Unfortunately for the Broncos, and this entire length of our show, 10 years now pretty much, the off seasons have been the most exciting part.
Yep.
Now the off season's kind of boring. We've still had a lot of fun with it, but like in terms of the big things that have happened, there haven't been that many, and it's finally good, and that rolls over into these practices where Bo was good, so we don't need to say that every single day for the next 15 years, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought Bo finished out. Speaking of Bo, I thought he finished out practice in a red zone period. Really good, man. I think people still sleep on the arm strength that he has, not just throwing the ball 50 yards downfield to Marvin Mims for a 95-yard touchdown against the Browns, but man, he was rolling out in one play 10 yards to the line or 10 yards to the end zone, and he just rifles this ball in, caught in the back of the end zone. He had a couple of those actually in this period. So, yep, Bo looks really good.
Yeah. Going back to some of the other notes, I think Brandon Jones and 7-on-7s got Evan Ingram twice, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. Ingram had a good play later on, but not against Brandon Jones. Honestly, when you look through all these, to me, it's just like sack, like Nik Bonitto. Matt Henningsen got in there. I think that's kind of the other thing that I took away from like watching the top guys go at it, is just that defensive front is just insane.
That's how you win championships.
Totally.
That is how you win. I mean, look at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Every asset they get, they just invested into the defensive line.
Yeah.
And when you can overwhelm teams, and not only is that how you win championships, it's how you beat the Chiefs.
Totally. On both sides of the ball within the trenches. And the Broncos do have that offensive line. Despite Nik Bonitto's sacks, I'm not worried about the Broncos' offensive line. They've got that formula, and you're exactly right. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles and what they do, what they did against the Chiefs. That's how you beat them.
Look what the Bucs did against the Chiefs the year that they beat them.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Blew them away.
Exactly. Some other notes from today. Man, it is Evan Ingram. I think I've said it all 3 times. We've done this after a practice now. He is a wide receiver. Baldy told us yesterday after I provided the information that he's really working with the receivers a lot more than tight ends. And he said, well, yeah, he's a slot receiver. And that's what he is. And I think fans are going to be like, wait, why is he lining up as a receiver so much early in the season? Then just be like, oh, yeah, that's his role. It's Evan Ingram, slot receiver.
So
and
then
that's good.
Is tight end a need for the Broncos?
I think they're using Evan in that tight end spot. They're just sliding him out. They had a tryout player working with the first team a lot today. I found that fascinating.
Wow. He must have impressed someone.
Must have. Number 47.
Yeah. Still don't know who he is.
No.
Actually, we do. Cody Rourke figured out who he was, but I forgot his name.
Yeah.
I had never heard of him.
Will Shepard, my guy, was out there.
He was, yes, as a tryout player.
Yep.
Good to see him getting
That was 87.
Probably.
That
right.
was 87.
Yep.
There we
Yep.
go. How tall is he? Like 6'3"?
A little taller than that.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But right in that.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
there's our
about
end of the mystery. That was 87.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some other takeaways. Henry, what do you have? I'm gonna look at my notes.
How did 87 look?
Yeah.
Didn't notice him other than like thinking like, wait, his skin is just a tiny bit lighter than A.T. Perry. Or like, wait, he's taller than Pat Bryant, but like A.T. Perry is significantly taller than A.T. Bryant. Like that doesn't, or A.T. whatever.
P.A.T. Bryant.
Yeah, P.A.T. Bryant. So didn't notice him actually on the field, but I'm sure he was good.
Great, thanks.
Again, I really like Courtney Jackson from Syracuse. He had like a drop today that turned into an interception, but he's just always open. But it's like the one player is like, this would have been the one guy you get to, because he was like a 4.39 slot guy, and so like hit a couple big plays at Syracuse, but not enough to keep him. They moved him into the slot more at Arkansas State, but they didn't know how to use the slot receiver there. I think he's been really good. I had a touchdown today too.
Before we get to Super Chats, Henry, I'll let you review your notes one more time. I'm going to give my final takeaway of the day. Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix to Cortland Sutton was the pass of the day. Cortland was in smothering coverage. I don't know who it was down the left sideline. Actually, we're not really allowed to say who it was anyways. Bo,
I can tell you after.
Bo throws a rope 40 yards down the field, places it perfect on the back shoulder. And when you're in smothering coverage, that's one of the places you can put it. And Court did such a good job of not going for the ball until the very last second. So despite being a smothering coverage, Court turns at the very last second, which you're taught to do as a receiver. It's a very pro move. He catches it and then takes off for the end zone. It was, at worst, it would have been a 40-yard completion, and if not, like a 70-yard touchdown, because Court could have easily broken a tackle there.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by who was in coverage?
I legitimately don't even know who is in coverage.
Don't say it. Just...
There you go.
Okay.
He was in good coverage.
Yeah.
He was in good coverage. Really good coverage. Henry, any final notes?
And Nik Bonitto, so good. Like blowing up runs. Like they did that thing.
You already said he was the best football player in the world.
I know, but it's just
got
like
the
when you
point.
go back through the note, they're like plays that you forget where you're just like, oh my goodness, this guy's a monster. Lavelle Bailey, had an interception to finish practice. Again, how much do we get to say? We'll say that. But again, no Dre Greenlaw, no Drew Sanders, and all the rotations get not Drew Sanders, no Alex Singleton. So you get to see guys get opportunities they normally wouldn't get. And Lavelle Bailey, whom we loved last year because he was incredible during training camp as an undrafted rookie, he looks really good now. It just not drives me insane. It shocks me that anybody would want Jermaine Pratt when you look at these linebackers. But
Lavelle Bailey was good every time he was needed last year.
Every single time he was good. And then today it's like, oh, interception.
And Justin Sternad continues.
Also
he needs
good,
to
yeah.
Lavelle up.
Yeah, he does.
He's
Well, he's
always
not
leveling up.
going to be able to because you got Singleton and Dre Greenlaw. You hope he's not going to see the field much
Or
this year because
he might
those
just
two.
be a superstar.
It's very true. But, you're set at inside linebacker. You got Lavelle Bailey. You've got Justin Sternad. You have Drew Sanders, who's also fighting for a spot there. And it's going to be interesting to see if the Broncos keep 5 inside linebackers. They also have depth at outside linebacker. They have depth at cornerback. Like, they're going to have to make some tough decisions. Maybe by the time the end of training camp's coming around, we're talking about how the Broncos are trading a guy for a 5th-round pick instead of having to cut him because they just have so much talent. That's an issue the Broncos haven't had in so long, but it's a very good problem to finally start having. And these are not issues or problems that are popping up with the Broncos, but it's things like we don't know how to not talk about the quarterback for the first 48 minutes of a show because that's typically always been the talking point, and the Broncos are finally stable. They have stability now at the core spots, and that's why Sean Payton believes that they truly can compete for a championship starting this year.
Jaquan pick. Gotta give him his credit too.
Hell yeah.
Don't sleep on Jaquan.
That was off the hands of your wide receiver
I know.
that you
I
like.
said that
Yeah.
Courtney Jackson's great, but yeah, just that one popped up in the air and just can't give too much away. But Jaquan got that one.
Yes, he did. He did. Super chat coming in from our friend Kyle Koner. Is this the only one we have? Okay. Kyle Koner says, y'all better stake claim that Joaquin Davis's name was first uttered by y'all because Zach Baez said he was the first to utter his name in the Denver market. Henry mentioned Davis one day before him. Looking out for you. Shout out to Kyle. Shout out to our guy, Zach Baez. Love Zach. Got to see him out there today.
Running
It's
Davis.
always great to
Yes.
catch up with him. What?
Running Davis.
That's right. Yes. It'd be a waste for him to be walking out there.
Oh, wow. Right over my head.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no. Joaquin Davis, again, the whole film room came up on the website, so we certainly have claim for that one. He made one play so far that we've seen. You're just kind of waiting for more because, like, even today there was one where like he's isolated one side and you're just like throw him the ball instead of scrambling in the 7-on-7, but instead they don't do that. 6'4", 4.36 40, better than 40-inch vertical. Problem is he just couldn't put up 500 receiving yards at any point at North Carolina Central. Just not good.
Yep. So we'll keep our eye out on him
Yeah.
tomorrow. Tomorrow we're
Courtney
going to be
Jackson's the
back
guy.
out at Broncos mandatory minicamp second practice, which means we'll be coming live to you right around 3 p.m. again tomorrow. And the hope is that we're talking about seeing JK Dobbins on the field for the first time. How does he look in Broncos orange and blue? What is his role with RJ Harvey and JK? And what number is he wearing? Final guesses, guys.
27.
Dang. I'm going 27.
Give me. Yikes. I'll take the 2.
No
Wow.
way. Okay.
I mean, again, like there's no
if
number.
they do that, I'm going to blast the Broncos tomorrow
I mean,
on this
so
show.
the
One
thing
more
is,
super
that's
chat from
sad.
Doug
That's
Great
safe.
Bros.
It's
who's
intimidating for
Browse, who
Pat.
says Broncos are winning the Super Bowl is storybook. 10 years, new team, same city. Let's
go.
I love it. Doug Great Browse, and we will be back tomorrow to break down the Super Bowl winning team after the second day of mandatory minicamp. Have a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.